That's enough. No more. No more.
Us too.
Oh. You also. Let's get it started, folks. The saga continues. After arranging a workout for Colin Kaepernick this week, the Seahawks postponed the trip when the quarterback declined to say he would stop kneeling during the national anthem. Earlier today on the NFL Live, Adam Schefter talked about basically what was happening in Seattle.
A conversation occurred in which they wanted to know what he was going to be doing on the field this year, before and during the national anthem. And I don't think he was willing to give them an answer at that point to commit one way or another. And with that still hanging out there, the Seahawks postponed that trip. Some might say canceled it. Depends on how you look at it.
All right, so let me recap. I want to make sure we're clear because there's so much information or wrong information out about Colin Kaepernick. He didn't say whether or not he would or would not stand or kneel during the national anthem, and because they didn't have any clarity, they canceled the trip. So I'll start with you first, Marcellus. Your reaction to them canceling the trip?
In totality, I think that is a moment of clarity that's necessary from both sides. So they need to get to the bottom of that. I know there were previous reports of Colin Kaepernick saying he wouldn't kneel 2018 if he were on the team. So that's the last report I've heard. That said, we have to separate the protests from the cause, because right now what we're talking about is not a human rights issue. We're talking about a workplace issue. And what the Seattle Seahawks are saying is, we respect your cause, but we want you to not protest while at work. That said, and that's very tough for a lot of people to do because they're conflating the two. That said, Colin Kaepernick now has to use his leverage to his advantage for the cause, which is all of the energy of that cause, as they know about energy. Can't be created, can't be destroyed, can only be transferred. Transfer the energy of I have to physically protest to leverage the richest owner in the NFL and all the collective owners to be on your side. Because I think right now they're opening the doors if you were to be an ally. And it's okay to be an ally and still stay for the cause. Right now, if I'm Kaepernick, I clarify my stance, I go in there and I use them to my advantage.
Let me ask you a question. Can you protest at any job that you know of, LZ?
Perhaps not in the way in which we've been seeing in the NFL. What we've gone through here at ESPN, and the clarification of how our social media is to be used as it pertains to politics, right? So I understand that there's a workplace environment that has to be adhered to, and as long as it doesn't interfere with your constitutional rights, you should probably adhere to the workplace policy. But with all that being said, it doesn't surprise me that Colin Kaepernick perhaps didn't have a complete answer to their question. Because his entire movement from the outside looking in has been organic. He's been kind of figuring out as he goes along. They presented him with another option. He's trying to figure that out as well. I also will say this. Colin Kaepernick got a conversation started. Those who are interested in this conversation may have to deal with the fact that he's done talking.
What do you mean by that?
Well, just because he got something started doesn't mean that he's going to see it to its totality. He might actually be done with the involvement of it. He may not necessarily want to meet with politicians. He may not want to do X, Y, Z. He may say, I'm done. And those who have followed him this far may be disappointed to hear that. But just because someone's pointing you to the direction of the mountaintop doesn't mean they're going to go with you all the way.
But LZ, but it's all reported. We don't know what he's saying because, to your point, he isn't talking. And I agree with you. You can't protest at every workplace. You're absolutely right about that, Marcellus. That's a whole new perspective that we haven't talked about. But in general, do you believe at this point in time that if he came back to any job that he had, even that he would kneel? Do you really think that that would be feasible if he wanted a job?
Look, it seems like there's only one thing keeping him out the league, and we all know what that is. It's the protest conversation. The old saying is, first survive, then thrive. So first you got to get in the game to change the game. So I know what he wants to do in its totality. But at the same time, you can use the conversation and that energy and transfer it in a different way, as I said before, and use these owners in support of what you're doing. Look, they gave the $107 million. I respect the owners for doing something they've never done before. Call it hush money if you want, whatever. You got $107 million to give up? No, so respect for that. Now, Colin Kaepernick, you gave $1 million of your own dollars. You can issue a challenge, once again, in support of you to the owners and put that public pressure on them. The protest and just kneeling is one lane, one variation, one form. Change the form, but still hold on to the cause.
Change the method. So really quickly, guys, I think the Seahawks need them because we did some serious digging. And look at their roster, their quarterback roster. That's it.
Hold on.
That's it.
What's our budget?
That's all we have. That's all we got. But they only have one quarterback. It's just Russell Wilson. They need Colin Kaepernick, if not some other reliable backup, do they not?
Oh, absolutely. And we know this. And Colin Kaepernick would be one of, if not the best backup in the NFL. We get it. And look, before Colin Kaepernick and protest issues, there was a conversation in the NFL. We want a backup. We don't want them too good.
Right.
You remember those days?
Yes,
because
exactly.
That pressure, because that starter be like, and be like, he's going to get the backup. So Colin Kaepernick is in a weird place because he's so talented. Like, you don't want to stick him on the bench because you can hear the first incomplete pass. Put Cap in.
And he's in a weird place as well because, and the reason why I said he may be done talking is because he's in a precarious position. Say if he does to say, you know what, I'm not going to kneel anymore, I want the job, there are going to be people that support him that's going to consider him to be a sellout.
Well, he does. That's why he doesn't want to say either way. So that makes sense. All right, we got to
complicated.
It's time to go places, presented by Toyota, or we're going places. Brody hits boards. What does that mean? Westbrook became the first player in NBA history to average a triple-double in multiple seasons. Last night, he grabbed a career-high 20 rebounds, some of which looks like, I don't know, his teammates let him have it. OKC enters the playoffs as the 4th seed. Some say they have underachieved after the addition of Paul George and Melo. So, LZ, what's the bigger story here? Westbrook's stats or the team underachieving?
The team underachieving, and this is why. When you bring in Paul George and Carmelo Anthony to team up with the MVP of the season, you expect there to be some sort of return of investment. They have one more win from where they finished last season. One more win. You gave them Paul George and Carmelo Anthony, and you went from 47 to 48 wins. Obviously, they underachieved. And so I started thinking, well, why? Why is this?
Say it, brother.
Maybe some of the players missed some games.
Why is that?
Westbrook played 80 games. George played 79, Melo played 78. So they all showed up.
But they all didn't show up.
They all didn't show up.
Yeah, man.
So I got to say the underachievement.
But isn't that hard to get that chemistry? You got those 3 players together. It's not easy to get that chemistry. So they did underachieve per se, but you got to have some time to work through that.
Yeah, but they had enough time. So let's go to Miami Heat. They won, and they started off 8-9 that season. They still were in the finals. And then they collapsed in the finals. That said, the bigger story is the only story for this season. They're underachievement. There was not a story until this week about Russell Westbrook and the triple-double possibility. Then all of a sudden we realized, oh, if he could average like almost 20 rebounds in the last 2 games, then we could have a story out of this. So it's underachievement.
We are moving on, folks. Catch this fade. That's what it says here. I'm talking about 2 Piece and a Biscuit. Did you watch this last night?
You don't look like you eat
Red Sox-Yankees rivalry back with a vengeance. All the drama started in the 3rd inning. Tyler Austin slid cleats up, folks, into Brock Holt. Red Sox retaliated by plunking Austin with a fastball. After the game, Yankees said that they overreacted, but former Red Sox and our guy, Pedro Martinez, basically said sliding with the cleats up is a no-no in baseball. That means fight, fight, fight. So, LZ, how do you feel about this? Do you like the fact that they were fighting or not so much?
I don't like the fact they were fighting. I actually enjoy watching baseball for baseball.
You do.
But
you're the one.
I certainly understand. I'm the one. You told me
the only one.
Serious. Are you kidding me?
It wasn't you serious. Check the rating.
All right, stop it. Anyway, you slide your cleats up. You're trying to hurt somebody.
Oh, yeah.
You're not trying to find your balance. You're not trying to. You're just trying to play some wood on a rival. So, yes, this was going to be expected.
Yeah, I mean, look. Ow! Cleats up right there in violation. We all play with the code. And the code is ball out. Toe the line, don't cross the line because I got to go home to my family. And when you do stuff like this, you're going to make it difficult for me to go home to my family. Worse, you're going to make it difficult for me to go back out there and make my money for my family. So
that's true.
Don't cross the line. And when you cross the line, there are repercussions and consequences.
The only thing I wonder is how come old dude just didn't slug him as soon as he did it?
Yeah.
Why'd you wait until the batting order came up and then the pitcher's got to hit him and all that stuff?
Because I'm not trying to lose my money to make a point. So guess what? If I do this, 4 or 5 game suspension. I wait for you to do this. Oh, it's within the code of baseball. And the discipline of baseball, discipline in itself. So
that's a good point.
That's a smart play. I ain't going to be the one caught with it.
You buck up when you act up.
Cheers,
Smoking
folks.
gun
It's time. 3. So what about this? Talk to me about Ricky Rubio. What is he doing?
Best passer in the game still.
Is he?
What?
Is he?
Y'all forgot?
No.
Have y'all forgot?
Have you forgot?
Well, that
Best
didn't
passer of the
happen.
game.
Okay.
That's-
Bad timing on that statement right there, but that boy still throw dimes.
Yeah, okay.
He like, hey, man.
All right. He said, why do you...
2 years for
rookie.
Diamondbacks shortstop. Basically, he loses this pop fly. What do you think? You love baseball.
Yeah, LZ.
For sure.
Break that down.
I'm
Break it
sure
all
the
down.
birds got in his face or something like that.
The bird.
Yeah, it must have been a feather that fell on...
It doesn't look like it's sunny out there.
No, it wasn't sunny. He doesn't have his goggles on.
Yeah, exactly. Weird.
All right,
Messed up.
3 years. Jamal
See
Murray.
this game last night? It was good.
Did you watch it?
It was good.
What was
Overtime,
it?
all that.
Locked in. You guys are really good.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No? What about this? Losing the
Hey, shut up. My shoe.
All the time.
My
That
shoe.
happens all the time.
Dedicated to the cause, though.
Just throw your shoes.
Yo, Jamal, do it for the culture.
Or
Growing up, you were better without shoes when you had to do anything. Remember
It
that?
has to be, because you couldn't afford any shoes.
coming up next, I talked to Dr. J about Ben Simmons and the 76ers. You might be surprised what he had to say. You don't want to miss it. Sports Nation?
Starts, finishes, continues. Where we at now?
Sports Nation is presented by Toyota. Let's go places.